What's going on, everybody? Top 10 Pokemon back, bringing you the top Pokemon card auctions of the week recap, folks. Amazing week, as always, for Pokemon card auctions. We saw the Moonbreon. The PSA 10 Moonbreon VMAX is back on top and better than ever, despite having over 10,500 PSA 10 copies. This card is doing as well as it ever has. And we also saw some insane, record-breaking Black Label sales featuring Pikachu. So stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss today's episode. Lots of eye candy for you. Thanks for tuning in. Before we start the recap, a shout out to today's auction recap sponsor. It is lowpopping.com, your continued source for investment-worthy Pokemon cards. Lowpopping.com, if you don't already know, is a website catered to serious TCG investors, where new inventory is posted each and every week. What's great about lowpopping.com is the tremendous variety of cards they have available for collectors, including high-end PSA, BGS, and CGC graded cards for sale. Not to mention the website is completely fine-tuned for you to specifically search for what you need for your collection. And still, one of the best things about Lowpopping is that if you don't have the cash on hand, you can still trade for the card that you must have through Instagram or email, which is where you can also sell to them or make offers. And as always, a lot of cards have the buy now, pay later option also. So after this amazing recap, go to lowpopping.com, check out their inventory, and as always, let me know what you pick up. Alright folks, let's start off with what you came here to see, the prices of the Umbreon VMAX, specifically in PSA 10. Here is one that sold earlier this week for $1,050, but the price of this card just kept climbing. We saw another sale for $1,150. A couple other interesting modern cards. Here is a CGC 10 Perfect Charizard VMAX from Shining Fates that sold for $480. And it's crazy because the Black Label copy of this card, which would be the CGC 10 Perfect, if you're doing equivalents here, goes for way over $1,000. So I feel like $480 is a pretty good deal for a perfect example. What do you think? Here we saw the Black Label Japanese Giratina V Alt Art that came by and sold for $6,100 this week. And then here we have a BGS 9.5 Acerala Extra Battle Day promo card that sold for 9,260 big ones this week. And we also saw this Chinese Full Art Lily card as a BGS 10 Black Label that sold for $6,482 US. Here from the XY Team Rocket special case was this Full Art Team Rocket in PSA 10 that sold for $11,000. Woo! Man, we're starting this recap off with some big numbers today. On to the vintage portion, we have this Unlimited base set Charizard in PSA 10. Such a magnificent card. Just look at it. Beautiful. Sold this week for $9,725. Here we have a card that I've probably never reported on. It is a PSA 1 first edition base set Charizard that still sold for $3,250. Here we have a No Damage Error Ninetales card in PSA 5. If you don't know, there should be an 80 damage right there, but it is blank. This card sold for $470. So it doesn't sell for a whole lot, but you never really see these cards come by graded, so I wanted to make mention of it. Here we have a PSA 10 First Edition Blaine's Charizard from Gym Challenge, sold for $3,529. And then here is the OG Moonbreon in PSA 10 from Neo Discovery, sold this week for $6,100. Here from Neo Destiny, we saw this Unlimited Dark Gengar. And these unlimited cards from WotC typically don't go for a whole lot, but this Gengar I felt did pretty well, selling for about $601 as a PSA 10. From Neo Revelation, we saw this Shining Magikarp in first edition sell for $3,550. And then we saw another CGC 10 Perfect card. This is the Japanese Vaporeon Japanese Play promo card that sold for $3,500 this week. Here is an autographed reverse holo Rayquaza in PSA 10 that sold for $1,080. And then here, folks, this is an uncommon card, and I am in love with the art. This is from Heart Gold Soul Silver Triumphant. It is a Haunter, and like I said, I'm just in love with the illustration. Sold as a PSA 10 for $305. And you don't see uncommon Pokemon cards sell for this much, but this illustration is just S tier, baby. On to a couple of sealed booster boxes. Here is a black and white Plasma Storm box that sold for $5,111. A first edition Fossil box that sold for $9,850. Here is a base 2 booster box that sold for $8,737 US, and then a first edition Jungle box that sold for $11,100. And then on Heritage Auctions, we saw this Unlimited Neo Discovery box that sold for $11,250 this week. And then on to the PWCC weekly auction block, we saw a couple more Moonbreon VMAXs. Here's a PSA 10 that sold for $1,170, and then another one sold for $1,290. So pretty darn close to $1,300 for this card as a PSA 10. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable popularity, unbelievable amount of PSA 10s that exists. This is just a mind-blowing card, to say the least. Here we have a Black Star Promo Zapdos EX in PSA 10 that sold for $1,020. Here is a Mewtwo EX from Ruby and Sapphire, sold as a PSA 10 for $1,410. Here is a CGC 10 Gyarados Holo from Skyridge, definitely one of my top 3 favorite Gary Hollows ever, sold for $1,440. Here is a PSA 5 no rarity symbol Japanese base set Charizard, sold for $2,100. And boy oh boy, this card is very off-centered. You can hardly see any of the top or left-hand border, which probably attributed a bit to the grade that it got. Up next, any Shuckle fans out there? I know there's got to be a couple of you. Here's a 2010 Japanese Promo Challenge Battle Win Shuckle card. Shuckle. The sold as a PSA 10 for $1,560. Here we have a CGC 10 First Edition Holo Ampharos from Neo Revelation. This is a Pop 8 card in the CGC 10 Pop Report and sold for $1,590. And folks, this card is an absolute monster as a PSA 10. The only one available for sale right now is a cool $25,000. So yeah, tough card to get in a 10 for sure. Here is a CGC 10 Typhlosion 17 Holo from Neo Genesis that sold for $2,550. And then we saw a couple of very expensive Japanese promo cards. Here we have the Scream Psyduck promo card in PSA 9, but the autograph got a 10 and sold for $4,920. Here we have a full art Luigi Pikachu in PSA 10 that sold for $3,360, while the full art Mario Pikachu sold for $6,600. And then we had these two big boys come by. It is a Pikachu wearing Charizard. This is the number 208 promo card as a BGS 10 Black Label, sold for $22,800. And then we saw this other Pikachu wearing Charizard in BGS 10 Black Label condition, a Pop 13 card that sold for $31,800 this week. What do you think about that? Pretty hefty. Let me know in the comments. That's it, folks. Don't forget to go check out lowpopping.com and pick yourself out something pretty for Easter here. That's all I got today, folks. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will catch you in my next one.